What I want to do now is I want to talk about a leadership message of the week that I think we all should embrace. One thing I'll say is this: there's many of you who are far more talented than your bank account shows. You're far more talented than your personal health shows. You're far smarter than your bank account shows. You're far smarter than your personal health shows. And it's a lot of times it's our own, willingness or lack thereof that causes our disasters or causes our lack thereof or causes our having to say no to certain things in life because we haven't set ourselves up to be able to say yes. Right? So on this Declaration of Independence, there were some people who came here and decided to become independent of the king, right? Independent of Europe and Britain, right? The great king of Britain, to become independent. They filed their own Declaration of Independence. And love or hate for a lot of the things they did, one thing they did do right is set up some rules of starting a country and not tolerating certain things any longer for their life. Did they get it all right? Of course not. They just made it a lot better than it was. And certainly there's been amendments, and there will always be amendments and different things that come up. But bottom line is, it's easy for us to judge in hindsight. It's not easy, but we don't want to be judged. And I would just say that there's a reason that over 60% of the people over 50 don't have enough to retire. Over 60% over the people over 50 don't have enough to retire. Their own constitution is off. Their own Declaration of Independence is off. They're doing things incorrectly. They're not doing things correctly. They're doing things incorrectly. It's our job as leaders to be able to bring forth a model that they can follow and they can succeed with, right? And so what I want to do is I want to talk about that a little bit. It's not about your ability or your talent. I remember when I had to borrow money from my mom and dad for something, and I remember I'm on my Marlo is my second wife. I was married, my high school sweetheart, and I met Morgan's mother, and I got married right out of college, and we were married 5 years. It didn't last. We separated. Marlo and I have been married now 17 years. But I remember when Morgan's mother and I divorced. Morgan was very young, so was Addison, her brother. So I wanted Jessica to be able to stay home. I wanted my ex-wife to be able, the mother of my children, to be able to stay home. And so I remember saying, you stay home and I'll work and I'll earn enough to be able to pay for me and you. And she had a horse. We had a horse that was boarded. I remember the day came. If you've ever had an animal, especially if you raise that animal from babyhood to whatever it was, you build a relationship. I remember it got to the point I couldn't afford everything. I couldn't afford the house and the apartment and the cars and the kids and the self and the horse. And I remember we got way behind on the boarding payment for that horse, and every month it was $200 or $300. It wasn't a lot, but when you get behind months over, all of a sudden it was $1,000 behind or more, and it got to the point where I couldn't get out of it. And I remember we had to sell the horse, and it broke my heart because this was Jessica's, the mother of my children's love. This was her horse. It was her pet. They had a close bond, and she raised it and trained it. And to have to sell that because I couldn't afford $1,000 in board payment, it broke my heart, right? And it got me to the point it became something. It became a reason. See, we're not limited by our intelligence or abilities. We're limited by our lack of reasons why we should do things. And I'll never forget that became a reason that I didn't ever want her, even though I was no longer married to her, or my daughter and my son to ever have to go without ever again. I was going to work harder than anybody. The reason became, it didn't matter that it was $1,000. It was a reason that I couldn't fix. And so that reason, a nitty gritty reason, was there. And I remember one time when she and I were first married, I had a house that didn't have room for a dishwasher and didn't have a dishwasher, didn't have a garage, but it was our starter home. And I remember we went out and bought a dishwasher, and it was one of the kinds you roll around. You can't install it. It's a portable dishwasher, and you plug it onto your sink. And I remember when we bought that, it was probably $120, but I didn't have the money. So we had to finance it. I remember the payment was either 7 or 13. I don't remember exactly, but it was not a lot. The monthly payment was small. And I remember that $7 or that $13 payment. I remember one time I wrote the check. And I remember saying to myself, the money's not in the account right now. I hope I get paid before that check hits their, it was Whirlpool or whoever, before it hits their bank and gets deposited. I hope I get paid prior. But I had to send the check to not be late, but the money wasn't in the account. Another reason. I never wanted to write a check not having the money in the account. And it didn't matter whether it was $1,000 or $7. It doesn't matter. There's a feeling, a broke feeling, a broken feeling. And it didn't matter what business school I went to. It didn't matter what IQ test. It doesn't matter what ability you have. It comes down to the reason. And so it was that day. I remember when I had to write that check that I got in this industry. It was that day that I said, I'm looking for something. I came home from work that night and I was in the newspapers and I found a, hey, make money outside of what you're currently doing ad. And I called it and I went to it. And I would never look back. I said, I am not going to let myself have to pay things late anymore. I'm not, that was my reason. What reasons do you have? What reasons? So we all have reasons or we don't. Our tagline and our picture on Facebook says, your why is our reason. That's a fact. This company exists because one of the reasons is I don't like the available opportunities out there. And I wanted to create one that you could have that I could be proud of. And I would want you to recommend to people where I knew they wouldn't get taken advantage of, wouldn't get hurt, could make big money up front. Yeah, it's got to work. Yeah, you got to work your tail off. But, you know, when you teach a 2-year-old how to walk, or when you're teaching a baby how to walk, how long do they got to get up and fall? And how long do they get up and fall? And how long do they get up and fall? How many times do they got to try and try and try? How many times do they try? They try what? Until. Write that down. Until. That's what you do it for, till. Like my buddy Jim Rohn, never met him, but listen to his tapes all the time. Like he says, you do it until you get there. You don't do it until you don't feel like it. You do it until you get there. You have your strong reason. We call them your reason why, but just write down reasons. Do you have enough reasons to get you up in the morning? Do you have like goals? What is your income goal this month? You don't have one? You won't get any clients. You don't have an income goal for July with DAC? You need to, you're a leader. You need to have an income goal, and it's got to be a stretch enough to get you to jump out of bed getting after it. It's got to be enough where you can say, I've got to talk to some clients this month. I can't just wait for my downline to do it. I can't hope to get there. Hope is not good enough. Hope's not going to get you anywhere. You want to have more hope than doubt, but you got to put something behind the hope. So we got to have some goals, and you got to write down those goals. And you've heard this 1,000 times, but if I said, show me your plan to reach your goal, if you don't have one, you're not being a leader of your life. You do not have, and guess what? Time ticks on. You don't have enough reasons to make it happen, apparently. You don't have enough reasons. And then if you have enough reasons, but you're not doing something, come on now, we got to be more mature than that. If you have reasons, you're going, you don't know, Dave, I need this bad, and you're not doing anything, then it's time to mature a little bit, right? You don't get to know what to do and not do it. If you can do, if you could do it, and you should do it, but you don't do it, over time, that's a disaster. If you could and you should and you don't, over time, that's a disaster. What's the answer? You could, you should, so you plan and you do. It's really simple. And then you do, and you do, and you do till when? Until. You do for how long? Until. You do for how long? Until. Or you do what the broke people do and you never do, and you just keep hoping. You do what the failure do and don't do it. And so today, let this be like 1776. If you're not happy with your past, then this is like a movie. If you're not happy with the route you've taken, if you're like where I was when I had to write that check, or when I had to tell the mother of my children, I'm sorry, you have to sell the horse, and I'd go in my bedroom and cry for 4 hours because I can't believe I failed her that bad. This 7-year-old horse we had to sell because I couldn't afford the money. If you don't have a reason, a nitty-gritty reason, then and you don't have the mentality to say, I'm going to do until. Remember, I picked up the phone and I started calling ads on that day. Did I have a hunger? I had a hunger, right? I had a hunger. When I couldn't afford that dishwasher, I had a hunger. I went to General Motors, but when I went to General Motors, I thought, I'm getting out. I'm not going to ever be restricted again in my financial life. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I don't care what I've got to do. As long as it's within reason, with integrity, I'll find something. Because there's a movie called The Hunger Games. I was playing a hunger game a long time ago. It had nothing to do with eating. It had to do with filling my mind with things I was hungry to achieve and going to get it. And any successful person will tell you they had a hunger game going on in their head. They had a hunger. It didn't just happen. They were hungry. And they did it until, right? So a couple things I wanted to share with you. Success, difference between failure and success. Failure is the repeated mistakes, slight errors in judgment, repeated over and over and over time. Just slight errors in judgment or philosophies or thinking, repeated over and over and over again over time. That becomes accumulated disaster. That becomes riddled heart disease. That becomes lifestyle cancer from lifestyle. That becomes bad liver from abuse of alcohol. That becomes diabetes from abuse of candy. That becomes, now things, people get diseases that don't have lifestyle things on their own, but lifestyle caused diseases are slight errors in judgment accumulated over a long period of time. So what's the opposite of that? Success. And what is that? What do you think success is? Simple disciplines toward a plan repeated over and over and over again. And that becomes accumulated success. And just like compound, so again, simple disciplines repeated over and over and over again, over time. So let's just say this, as Jim Rome will say, and I'm not talking about Jim Rome, the sports guy, I'm talking about Jim Rohn, the great, what I'll call inspirational educator. But Jim Rohn said, an apple a day will keep the doctor away. So if that were true, why wouldn't everyone eat an apple a day? Because it's easier not to. Again, slight error in judgment. Now, what if they wrote it down wrong and wrote, instead of an apple pie a day? We'll keep the doctor away. No. That's a slight error in judgment. That's just a little bit off. But if you did a slight apple pie every single day over 6 years, that become accumulated disaster. Apple a day over time becomes accumulated success. So a lot of us have this mentality that we're in the industry, so we're in the right car. We're in the bus. We're in the football field, so we're going to win the Super Bowl. Being in the DAC football field doesn't guarantee anything. Being in the DAC vehicle guarantees nothing, right? It just puts you in the vicinity to watch it happen, but it doesn't mean anything changes, right? That's a slight error in judgment, thinking just because you're here, you're going to have success. Thinking just because you get on these Zooms, you're going to know exactly what to do. Or you'll know what to do, but that doesn't mean you'll do it. A lot of people ignore the vegetables and apples, and they abuse the drugs instead of the nutrition, right? So slight errors in judgment. So what's your Declaration of Independence look like? Here it's simple. You got to have your goals. You need to have an income goal. You need to have one because that's what it's a measurement of your work ethic. By the way, when you go swim underwater in the ocean, the currency that matters most is called oxygen, because you can't stay down there long. You could be a multimillionaire, but if you don't have oxygen, you die. And guess what? The currency above ground is called money. You don't get to do and live your whole life and exist without capital. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that's the oxygen of the above ground. That's the oxygen of the above ground. So If your declaration of independence is, I want independence, not declaration of dependence on Social Security, declaration of dependence on welfare, declaration of dependence on unemployment, declaration of dependence on family, declaration of dependence on my relatives, declaration of dependence on my friends, declaration of dependence on grifting and scamming someone, declaration of dependence on buying fake tennis shoes and selling them as real, declaration of dependence on anything else. If you want it to be a declaration of independence, declaration of dependence on being a drug dealer, no, declaration of independence of being someone who is self-made. Obviously, we're all we're all products of everybody in our life and the economy we're born in the time and place and all that. But what I mean, you've got to do a declaration of being a doer. If you want independence, you get it. It's yours for the taking. And every one of us, 2020, not 2021, 2020, 2020, we could already be independent by the time this year ends. 6 more months. 2021, you could already be independent, but it won't happen without you having a declaration of independence goal. And that goal needs to say something like 10 grand a month. Well, no, I just want to get my bills met. And that's not going to get you out of bed. That's not going to make sure you're talking to a bunch of clients a month. That's not going to make sure that you're making sure you got a good team. That's not going to make sure that you're conscious of the time you're investing into your organization to make sure you got the right organization. That's going to make you a babysitter. You don't want to get paid like a babysitter. You want to get paid like a leader. You want to get paid as a leader. You got to put 10, 15 grand on there. Independence means what? Independence means I'm healthy. I can get around. I can stretch. I can walk. I can talk. I'm fit. I've got money. I'm financially fit and healthy fit. Let's go love life. I can make a difference in others. I can have a different life and give a different life to others. That's declaration of it. That's mine. What's yours? So you got to have that reason, but write down your goal. Start with a goal. You got to have a goal. And that goal's got to light you up enough when you wake up in the morning. Bang, I wake up in the morning. I've got 2 children still at home and a beautiful wife. And I wake up in the morning. First thing I'm thinking about is what I can do to help my business. And then I automatically wake up. And then I start thinking about my family. My unconscious is business. It shouldn't be that way all the time. I get it, but that's just how badly I want to deliver an opportunity for all of you. Are you waking up with business on your mind? Your purpose? This is my purpose. This is my ministry in the marketplace. It doesn't have to be yours, but my ministry is this. What's your ministry? I don't know, but what is your goal? It starts there. Economic goal you need to have one. It's a measuring stick. It is the hunger game. Do you have a hunger game, or do you have no, I'm a complacent shame, or I'm a complacent game. I'm going to be just say no and blame the government and blame the Democrats and blame the Republicans and blame my governor and blame my mayor and blame my ex-husband and blame my ex-wife and blame my children, blame my parents, blame. We're all adults here. We don't get to do that anymore. You may have been put in a river where the current's not going at your backside, and you may have to paddle a little harder than someone else. But that doesn't mean you get to just drift downstream and go, well, I'm in a bad river. I'm in a bad river. You can, but you know what you're doing? You're declaring dependence now instead of declaring independence. You're declaring dependence on what the winds are instead of independent. I've got a sailboat. It's sitting on the dock. They just put it in over the weekend. I haven't been there to get it to my well yet. It's the middle of the summer. I haven't had time to sail. I've chosen to not sail. I've chosen to. We went camping instead. We've done this instead. I've chosen not to. But when I get out on the water, it doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. I can go anywhere I want to go. Just got to change the direction of the sails, right? The winds can suck. They can be coming from this direction, and I'm trying to go right into them. You got to change course, but you can get to where you want to go. Doesn't matter. Some of you have winds blowing your way right now. I get it. But that does not mean you get to say, I'm not sailing. I'm not, no, this is not right. Injustice is all around us. I get it. I'm not saying don't help the injustice of the world. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is don't become a victim to it to the point where you get a declaration of dependence on waiting for all that to change. Declaration of independence. You got your own personal economy. It doesn't matter what happens to the gross national product of the United States. It does not matter how many people have COVID in that state. It doesn't matter what the Democrats are saying, the Republicans are saying. All those things don't affect your personal economy unless you're dependent on that economy. Like, what's your minimum wage? If you're fighting for higher minimum wage, I'd say this: work instead on your value you're giving your employer. A minimum wage will never be a discussion because they'll give you so many raises you can't think about it. If you're worried about what minimum wage is, you got to go start improving you. And I know nobody on this page is that way because you're all leaders here. You're already thinking outside the box. That's why you joined DAC. But you see what we're up against out there, folks. But many of you don't have a Declaration of Independence. You're leaders, but you don't have your economic goals. What if I said, show me your meticulous plan to accomplish your goals this month in July? What is your income goal? Quickly, 5,000, 17,000. I'll just throw something else because I didn't have one. Okay, what's your meticulous plan to get there? I've done, I don't know how many game plans to show how. It's in our back office to show how. You can literally go do it to show how. There's no reason at all except I don't have any reasons why I am having goals. I don't have a strong enough reason why. I don't have really reasons. So this is a reason issue. It's not a, does DAC work? It's not, are apples healthy? Are Snickers bars good for you? It's not a question of understanding or intellect. It's a question of Hunger Games and how hungry you are. And have you got your Declaration of Independence yet? So here's a summary. Number one, success is disciplines practiced every day, simple disciplines over and over and over every day over time creates success. The opposite is errors in judgment, just slight errors in judgment, repeated over time, You know, some of you, if you look back to our old videos, you'll see that when DAC started in 2015, I was 335 pounds. I'm 280 right now. And you go, wow, you've lost a lot of weight. But guess what? I was 230 7 months ago. So I lost a bunch of weight by doing slight disciplines every day. And then guess what's happened since last November? Slight errors in judgment, just slight errors in judgment every day. Since November, 6 months later, 40 pounds have been added, maybe even 50. And so what must I do? Have a new goal and start doing the right way. Some of you in DAC are going, yeah, I've been in DAC since, okay, well, I've been a Planet Fitness member this whole time, but my weight has still done this. Has nothing to do with the gym. Well, I've been in DAC. It doesn't matter. That's like a gym. That's just an avenue. What are you doing every day? How many clients are you talking to every day? How many do you talk to over the weekend? How many do you talk to today so far? Slight errors in judgment every day repeated over time equals accumulated disaster. So here's your thing. You gotta decide what you want, what your goal is. Come up with an income goal. It's the easiest way to measure in our business. Come up with an income goal and make sure it's enough that you got to at least call 50 clients a month minimum. That means you're trying to get one client to get funding. You got to just call, David, I don't want to reach out to 50. Then go find something that wakes you up in the morning. Have a goal that gets you excited. So have your plan, do the plan for how long? Until. Plan and repeat, plan, do, repeat, plan, do, repeat. If you could do it and should do it, but don't do it, that's accumulated disaster. If you could do it and should do it and therefore plan to do it and do it until, guess what that equals? Declaration of Independence and realized independence. Really is this simple. Really is this simple. It's real simple for me to drop 40 pounds just going from this switch, where most of my activity is here, to there. It's real easy to go from making nothing in DAC to making 10 grand a month in DAC. Just simply go from there to there. It really is that easy. And so when you have your plan, you do the plan, you repeat it until, and if you don't, what you don't want, so declaration of independence is what you'll do and what you won't do. So you got to write down what you don't want to tolerate anymore. What are you not going to tolerate? You smoker, don't tolerate it anymore. If you've been saying you're going to quit, today's the day. Well, David, it's hard. I'm addicted to it. I understand. There's a reason I've gained 40 pounds. I get comfort from sugar. That sugar's addicting like nicotine. I get it. So I got to say no. And I can say this now because I feel like I've said that now. And so I'm saying to you the same thing. What are we not going to tolerate? This came up for me because I did my own Declaration of Independence this past weekend. That's why I got this message. That's why I've been doing this. I've been marinating on this for the last 3 days while I'm in the campground. So now I'm bringing it to all of you because I think we could all use this over and over. We don't wait till January 1st. Let's use Independence Day to do something about it. So what don't you want anymore? Eliminate all the small errors of judgment. Eliminate all those small errors of judgment. Eliminate them. Eliminate them. I went home for lunch today instead of going next door to the easy drive-through. It's not as convenient. Man, I got work to do. Go home. I may get, I see my kids there. I see my wife there, and it's easy to have a conversation about something unrelated to business. But you know what? Then I look at this as I get to see my kids there. I get to see my wife there. I'm going to go have a meal. And if it adds another 15 minutes to my lunch, then great. It's another experience I get to have. Slight error in judgment was I'm going to go to the drive-thru. I don't have time to go home. I don't have time to go home. I got to get to the drive-thru, get something. I'll go get 2 burgers and a water instead of a pop, and I'll get back here. Yeah, 600 calories and a bunch of sugar later. I'm back at work quick on time and I don't think anything of it. And you do that over time for 6 months and what happens? You're up 45, 50 pounds. So what will you not do? Eliminate the small errors in judgment. Day after day after day of not calling a client. Day after day after day of not recruiting anyone. Day after day after day after not living what's in the training. Day after day of looking at, analyzing, and wanting to make sure this document says this, and let me go read the back office for that, and let me go see if Dave updated this yet, and did Dave do this yet, and no activity that makes you any money. I don't need to read the McDonald's nutrition information. I need to not go in the building. You don't need to go see if the Agent Resource Center has the training updated from yesterday yet. You need to go talk to clients. We'll get that updated when the priority level gets to that point. Yeah, but Dave, we need to see it. We need to see it. Then be there live like I am or like we are. And we'll get it recorded when we can. Well, I can't be there live. I need the recording. Okay, well, you can wait a day. Get out there and talk to clients. This is real life. Plan and do the plan. It's not check out, make sure, and evaluate and judge the company. It ain't Planet Fitness's fault. They didn't help me lose the weight, and they didn't help me gain the weight. It ain't DAC's fault. We make it available. You got to go earn it, or you don't earn it. It's really up to you. Could, should, and don't. And as Jim Rohn says, there's some who could, should, and won't. These people don't because they're just, some people don't because they're just not conscious of it. It's okay if you've just been, wow, I haven't even been thinking about that. I really do need to write a plan and do it. Okay, that's great. We've just been ignorant of it. We don't know. But the ones who go, I know I could do this and I should, but I won't do it. I'm not going to do it because blah, 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 blah. Now that's just a whole nother level of ignorant because we're now creating our dependence on others rather than our independence. Personal freedom comes with personal responsibility. Disciplines practiced every day equals success over time. Errors in judgment, small ones. Repeated over time, failure. Call it accumulated disasters. Accumulated success, accumulated disaster. Accumulated success, accumulated disaster. Yeah, but Dave, I ate McDonald's for a week and I didn't gain any weight. I know, so did I. Do it over 6 months. Accumulated disaster. Well, Dave, I've been talking to people every day, passing out drop cards. I've been doing this for 6 weeks. I've only got one client. I can't do this for 6 weeks and get one client only every 6 weeks. But guess what happens? You do it over time. Watch what happens 6 months from now. All of a sudden, you got 6, 7 clients a month from all the seeds you planted 6 months ago. Who you didn't know, the miracle of the seed is you put it in the soil. And then over time, God takes care of the rest. That little seed knows how to extract some nutrients out of the soil and turns a little seed into a little plant. And that little plant keeps pulling from the soil and the water and the sunshine. And it's amazing how that plant goes from that little miracle seed. And that little seed all of a sudden has plants and stalks and a bunch of ears of corn on it. And it started as one little seed that you didn't see. Well, I don't want to wait 6 weeks for that field full of corn. I want to plant it and have it tomorrow. That's called immature. First grade desks are small. Why? Because we don't want someone being 25 years old fitting in a first grade desk. It's time we step up, grow up, and deal with the reality. That is, I got to earn my keep. It's not given to me, but it's not hard to earn it with DAC. I appreciate you all. Have a great, 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 great week. Tomorrow night, consumer services training at 8 p.m. Eastern for 20 minutes, then 20 minutes of question, then 9 p.m. is the business opportunity meeting. I think it's time to get everyone you know looking at DAC. This video is officially over today. God bless you all.